Good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you are watching us. Time is different everywhere, but we are welcoming you here in Tallinn, next to the most beautiful Christmas tree on the Town Hall Square. The Christmas market on the Town Hall Square is nominated as one of the most beautiful in Europe. Of course, we would like all get to go home during Christmas, but those who cannot go home to Estonia, they get to feel this Estonian Christmas feeling during the virtual forum for global Estonians. Now, from the Town Hall Square, I will go to Vene Street in the Old Town. Who knows Tallinn's Old Town will know where it is, to Theatre Room Theatre, and in there, in the cafe of Kloostriaid, we will talk. We will have the discussions of our virtual forum today. And let's continue from this room in Kloostriaid. My first guest is Marko Mihkelson. Estonia at the moment in security policy is heard. Our messages are heard in the world. Indeed, and we don't have any other choice. From the moment we restored our independence in 1991, we were convinced strongly, as we are today, that we should never remain alone again. And in order this not to happen, our thoughts and ideas, statements must be heard all over the world and known to those who protect these principles based on which Estonia, a small country as it is functioning in such a turbulent environment in the world, so that we would be able to navigate these turbulent waters. That's why it is natural that we are active in diplomacy. Estonia is visible internationally, and I believe that many ideas that we have presented from Tallinn are actually heard and taken into account. Our main message is that we need to support Ukraine. Yes, we need to support Ukraine. We need to understand that war is not somewhere in some region far away. The actual measure is global of this war. It is directly related to our own security. We all know, our DNA tells us that if Russia is in war, and if the war is targeted against our values, as we see in Ukraine, then it is clear that we cannot remain indifferent. We must act with our own diplomatic capacities. And Estonia, as we just said, has many good opportunities as the member of the EU, as the member of NATO. And on the other hand, we must use all other channels, including this great Estonian community that lives around the world, in New Zealand, for example, or in the US. And it is a unique opportunity, helping others and helping ourselves as well through this. That's where I wanted to get to. How could global Estonians who are watching this show all over the world help to foster Estonian foreign principles and how they could help us support Ukraine? The first thing is to make Estonia great in their eyes. We don't have to lie about it. There are things to say about Estonia. Wherever we are, wherever I represent the Estonian interests, wherever I travel, it's good to know that the knowledge of us is widespread. Estonia, as a small country, is never known enough so that we could peacefully think that, oh, they know about us. That's why I believe that every Estonian, as few as there are of us, are all like ambassadors who could all remind Estonia to others with kind words. And they could all stand for us, not only for Estonia, but the Estonian existence is seen in this sense that the world where we respect rights, rules, freedoms of citizens, this is something that has enabled us to develop so well as we have during the past 30 years. So to foster the Estonian interests and to spread the Estonian foreign policy message that supporting Ukraine is important. Yes, and I think it's not difficult to do. We are a proud nation, and there are so many examples from history, from modern days, good examples of why we are important in the world, examples of what we have given and what we should protect. And as we have said, we should never remain alone in cooperation with our allies, our partners, with people and countries all over the world. This is a force that shouldn't be underestimated. It is clear that the times we are living are more complicated compared to what our generation or last generations have seen. And the threat that is there, if we are too lazy, is more serious than has ever been seen since the Second World War. But we are a nation who learns from the lessons of history, and we know what to learn from the history, to know what to do differently today so that this potential threat would be managed and that it wouldn't threaten our freedom. Really useful and beautiful ideas to start with our global forum. This is Marko Mihkelson from the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Estonian Parliament. Thank you. We will continue with the topic of security policy. Let's go to Washington, Toronto. I'm glad to say hello to Karl Altau, head of the committee. Good morning. Hello. And Marko Kolga from Toronto, journalist and the information expert in Canada and politologist. Hello, Neeme. We were just discussing with Marko Mihkelson that Estonia has an important role in the foreign policy in the world. Our voice is heard much more than we could imagine, considering the size of our country. How is it seen in Canada, in Toronto, and in the US? Let's start with you in the US. Well, I believe that Estonia is a big country. Estonia does things as a big country, and Estonia has been noticed in Washington. I am focusing, however, on the issues of Estonia and the Baltic states. I live in the Baltic states and Estonian world every day. This expression that Estonia has been noticed in Washington sounds great. What about Canada? Well, I believe that Estonia is noticeable in every way. All of the representatives of our government, whether our previous Prime Minister Kallas or the current Prime Minister Eensaar-Tootsen, they have all represented Estonian interest very clearly and convincingly there, and I believe our Estonian national clear moral attitude and strategic direction has actually been respected a lot here in Canada. In Canada, I meet with the government and parliament members. For example, on Tuesday, I was invited to the Parliament Commission to testify on the topics of Russian information and war. They often ask how Estonia does one or another thing and what could Canada learn from it. So I would like to say that for sure Estonia is noticeable at the moment and is a role model in Canada in what concerns foreign policy and security. Those who are watching our discussion today are Estonians across the globe. What could Estonians across the globe do in order to foster such foreign policy interests and topics as supporting Ukraine? What could they do in their countries? Karl. In the US, about 1 million Baltic Americans, Estonians, are currently residing, and only let's say about 30,000 of 1 million are here. But we have many opportunities And as American citizens, they have the opportunity to express their opinion in a democratic country. We choose people who could, we elect people who could represent us at the Congress, and doors are always open for us. We can go and talk to them, can discuss, and also have our impact. So this gives us great strength. Everyone who is here, who is over 18 years old, can go and elect these representatives. They have the strength and opportunity and the power to go and talk and to express opinions to Congress and also to impact the members of Congress. Currently, we have seen that there is a growing support in the Congress towards the Baltic states. I believe that the Baltic states are known currently and much better than they have ever been, at least during the past 35 years, at least, before Estonia, compared to how much it was known before the independence was restored. Indeed, impacting the Congress is important when we look at the policy. The Pentagon, the Ministry of Defense of the US has known that they would like to stop giving military aid, but the Congress said that they cannot end military aid toward the Baltic states. Indeed, it is so. And the members of the Congress, when we go and discuss with them, yesterday we had a few discussions with those members of the Congress or members of the staff of the Congress who had been to the Baltic states. So they have the wallet and they don't want to give it directly to their government. So they, as I mentioned, they are supporting the Baltic states greatly, especially in what regards the questions of security. The US is the most important ally of Estonia in the world, but Canada as well is a big country. What about the interest in Canada towards the Estonian issues, and how can Estonians in Canada impact the government in Canada to support us? It's a good question. In Canada, I would say the interest is great towards Estonian. There have been some changes regarding our southern neighbor, so therefore we must look more towards the Europe, especially for the topics of foreign policy and security. And when we turn our eyes towards the Europe, then of course NATO is an important organization, and the Baltic states, Estonia, Finland, Sweden are noticeable in the NATO. Currently, it seems that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Canada and the new government, which was elected in spring, are looking for opportunities for cooperation with the Baltic states and with Estonia. But also in business relations, we know that Canada is building a new facility, neo-industrial magnets facility is one of the biggest Canadian companies that's producing permanent magnets in the county of Ida-Virumaa in Estonia. So there is great interest for business relations, but the questions regarding how as Estonians we could have more impact, then we have to look at JBANC. JBANC is indeed, has been a role model for 20 years already, and the work that I have been doing in Canada for about 20 years as well. The aim has been to take JBANC as a role model and to actively continue my work in policy. We should do it more in Canada. And we should try to engage younger Canadian Estonians. We must make sure that they would talk with their colleagues, neighbors, and friends, and that they would be active politically to actually have an impact over here. And eventually, I would like to say that globally, would like that our central organizations who should carry out this policy-related work, that they would have more ambitions to be more active in their work, to communicate more with our communities, with global Estonians, and to create this political interest and impact. We can do it if we do it in cooperation. JBANC that Markus mentioned is an acronym, Joint Baltic American National Committee, but I read about an interesting initiative in Sweden. It has taken place for quite some time, the same way as Swedish Estonians once gathered to support the independence of the Baltic states. Now they gather in the central Stockholm to support Ukraine. Are such activities taking place in Canada and the US as well? Yes, for sure. There are twice as many Ukrainians as the Baltic state nationals in the US. In Canada, there are even more of them, and they are completely active since 2014, and especially during the past 4 years since the new Russian attack took place. Every day they go to the Congress to manifest, to support, to carry out campaigns, also sending drones and military material to Ukraine. This is an important topic. And I am telling others that we should learn from it. The Baltic nations, Estonian, Latvians, Lithuanians, do they participate at these manifestations as well? Yes, we do. And I just actually saw that Markus helped to organize in Ottawa a manifestation. And I notice such things. And I try to spread the messages around our communities. I try to tell others there is support and Ukrainians appreciate it. A month ago, we had lobby days of Ukrainians in Washington, and from 50 American states, people gathered here. More than 500 people took place. We spent a couple of days at the Congress. We talked and talked. So we will need to continue such work every day. Markus? Well, you can see I have my NAFO T-shirt. This is not an official organization, but it's a group in social media. Many Estonians belong to that group. We fight against Russian propaganda with this group. So we have a very tight collaboration within this social media group. I would like to say in Canada, for 15 years already, since the manifestations in 2007 in Estonia, the so-called Bronze Night. When it took place, I had already been active in Canada for 10 years in the local policy field, and I tried to send the message of Estonia in that kind of a situation. It was difficult, however. There are only 20,000 or maybe even less here in Canada. Canadian Estonians are not so many. And I thought about how to increase our presence. And then I started to talk more with the Ukrainian community in Canada that we should bring together the Eastern European communities and create this Eastern European Council in Canada. And once again, Karl was a role model for this. He has been active in this organization in the US for several years. And I really looked up to this, and we wanted to create the same kind of organization here in Canada. It was useful, especially after the events of 2007 in Estonia. We wanted to send out this joint message. Or 2014, the situation of Crimea, we cooperated to support Ukraine. And since the beginning of this war, we have been tightly cooperating with the Ukrainian communities. There are protests that are being carried out, all kind of different activities. We constantly cooperate with them. And as Karl mentioned yesterday, in front of the Russian embassy in Ottawa, a protest took place, and I accidentally was there with the Russian opposition activist Ilya Yashin, and we decided together that we should go and join these protesters. And so yesterday morning we were all together there in front of the embassy. There were media represented, and I think by this Friday there should be an article about it, so we cooperate with the Ukrainian community. We fight for their rights because we know that one day we might need their support as well. Thank you very much. And as we can see, as Estonians, we managed to participate in policy creation of the world. Karl, Marko, Kolga, thank you very much for this conversation. And to our viewers, I would like to say that this discussion has been pre-recorded on Friday, in Thursday evening, and that's why we mentioned that the articles will be published in Friday morning. But now we will continue in a minute our virtual forum.
And we will also be having music today, and music will be brought to us today by Peterson and Eensaar-Tootsen. Hello. It is said that our Estonian identity is language-based, but singing keeps us together. Do you agree? Yes, we agree. As Estonians are a pretty closed nation, we tend to look towards inside, and singing together and sensing our language together is a very important aspect of it, indeed. Eva? Yes, I agree. In general, the uniting power of singing, and this is what maintains and preserves our language. You are singers, you've performed together for years in Denmark, Finland, and your songs are based on the thoughts of Estonian poets. Which of these poets have inspired you? Many of them, but who actually laid the basis for our activity was Juhan Viiding. When we were 17, we went to a singing group at the music house, and Juhan Viiding came to us and told us, create songs to my words, create sad songs. And since we were given this task, we felt that we have to go home, do it. We took Juhan Viiding's collection, created our first song, and after that we made many more songs. But today we will be hearing a song that's created to the lyrics by Ernst Enno. Can you tell us about this first song? The first song, All meres, liivases rannas. And I created this at the Tahkuna lighthouse when I found this poem in the library of the lighthouse keeper. I was by the sea. And this is how the song started staring back at me in the poem. The stories behind the songs are interesting, so let's imagine being by the sea in Tahkuna, and now this song to the lyrics by Ernst Enno.
All meres liivasel rannal ma seisin nii üksinda ja kaugele mõtete veerul pilk viibis siin vaatama. Pilk viibis ning viibisid mõtted ning viibisid meri ja maa. All meres liivasel rannal nii üksinda, nii üksi kui sulades kokku ka iseendaga. Liiv meri ning mõtted ja kaugus kõik hallina. Liiv meri ning mõtted ja ees ette jutt vaikinud. Liiv meri ning mõtted ja sees enda nutt ununud. Kõik ma mataksin siia ja ennast ka. Liiv meri ning mõtted ja ei ennast siin kätte saa. tuliv meri ning mõtted ja mõtted, maa oma päike ja maa. Ja mindki iial, teist keegi kätte ei saa.
Let's continue our virtual forum. On the 26th of November here in Estonia, we celebrated Civic Day. And on this day, we celebrated people who, as citizens, have helped to achieve the goals of the Estonian state and accomplish diplomacy without being diplomats. And Margus Tsahkna, our minister, recognized 34 Estonian national diplomats. You can see their names rolling on the screen during our show, and we join in recognizing them. But here, the next topic we are discussing is politics and people, Estonians who have lived elsewhere abroad, and how they can join in Estonian politics and how they actually do it. We have Halliki Kreinin joining us from Germany. Hello. You live in Germany, but you ran in Pirita. Yes, I actually moved back to Estonia in June. I found a job in Tallinn University. And the Social Democrats immediately contacted me and asked if I might want to run, and I did. Renee, Meriste, hello. You were president of the Los Angeles Estonian Society, decided to move back to Estonia and straight to politics. Yes, straight to politics. What is there to wait? Who invited you? I ran with the Pro Patria party. I ran in Neeme, my home district, and my voting results were pretty good. And we also have Tõnis Saarts here, associate professor of comparative politics in Tallinn University. Hello. People who are living abroad or who have lived abroad and want to run in Estonian elections, we also call them multinational Estonian politicians. Do they actually contribute to Estonian politics? Yes, I believe they do, because modern-day Estonians, they are not only in Estonia, and political participation might be a dimension of this global Estonian identity. Renee, we actually discussed for a TV show about returning, and this return is not always as easy as we think it to be, because home people tend to be worried, are you coming here to teach us? As a politician, when you run your campaign, did people see you as a foreigner? The campaign actually was really cool. So if anyone wants to return, it's amazing to participate in politics, to participate in the campaign, because it's very direct. I was there at Nõmme Market, and I think I talked to about 1,000 people there with fellow politicians. And people actually ask, you actually returned? Some are sort of in disbelief that they don't believe that you actually returned, and others say, I'm really grateful that you returned. It's amazing that people do return. It was a great experience, and I can sincerely recommend. Halliki, your experience, how many votes did you get? I think it was 270 votes. I think that's a pretty great result, yes. But participating in the campaign, what kind of experience was that? Were people wary? Did they want to hear about your experience gained abroad? It was a great experience, I agree. I also talked to many people, and the first question was always, but why did you return? You worked in Germany. So this actually saddened me a bit, but there was also a lot of positive feedback. And I believe that people see when you have returned to Estonia, it actually matters to you how Estonians are doing. And maybe you've seen something abroad on how life could be different, but you also know what the values in Estonia are, the values we want to maintain. Estonian nature, which Germany no longer has, and what kind of development we need. So the feedback was very positive for me as well. Tõnis Saarts, the same question. Do Estonians tend to be wary if people come back from abroad and run in local elections? Well, we haven't actually conducted any surveys on this, but we've heard from experience that there is somewhat of disbelief. But it was also talk of the experience being very positive and the feedback being positive, so there's not one conclusion that we can draw. But it makes sense that it's by default assumed that the people who run in local elections, that they have to be connected to this region for a long time. But let's talk about your campaigns. What was the message in your campaign? What should and ought we have changed in Estonia? What was your message? Well, in local elections, I focused on the Neeme region. I didn't go along with it. But did you feel that you are up to date with the Neeme issues? Yes, I've grown up in the Neeme district. Well, 18, 19 years you've been away. But my parents, relatives, friends, they live there. I visited Neeme every summer, so I was pretty much up to date with issues in that district. But the main message, it's an Estonian message for all of Estonia, that people should get along, that people should not try to pull the rug from under each other's feet as much. And talking about returning, I was away for 18 years, but Neeme still does not have sidewalks in most places. Does Los Angeles have sidewalks? Yes. Los Angeles is very car-centered, but they have sidewalks. Of course, not on the highway. But it's very unique on Pärnu. You do not have sidewalks from one center to another. It's muddy, it's snowy, and I tried to raise this message. I'm not sure if it will be accomplished, but we can hope. Halliki, what was your message? My main message was towards a greener and more environmentally friendly city space. How Tallinn and the Pirita district could work better for its people. I think Los Angeles is a bit different experience than Vienna or Germany, which has a very well-functioning public transport system. It's fast, convenient, has great tram lines, and people don't need to drive their cars. And this is what made me fight for transport issues. But the greenery in Pirita, how to preserve nature more. I do apologize, I can hear myself talking in this connection, so it's a bit difficult, but the most positive feedback that I gained was talking about bus routes, how to connect Pirita better with Viimsi or Tallinn city center. And why not a express tram or express train that goes from city center to Viimsi? But this is, of course, not something that I can promise. Well, I would say that we should have a ferry running from Pirita to city center, very fast, many people from Pirita to city center. Well, these are thoughts that you can propose in the next elections. The parliament elections, general elections are coming, and people living abroad can also vote then. How much people living abroad actually participate in the general elections? Well, the activity is not very high, actually, abroad in the general elections. Of course, the opportunity to vote online electronically is better. If the voting were only available at the embassy, the percentage would be even lower. But as a rule, citizens who live abroad, they're not the most active pollers. And the reasons are, there are important reasons for this. They are away from their homeland. They are not actively up to date, informed about our domestic policies. And being a multinational, you actually live in two spaces. In some way, you're connected to Estonia, especially if you know the language, and you keep in touch online what happens in Estonia. But if they are more active, they take place also. They also try to see what happens in the country where they live. So this activity is very much related to identity. But it's very important how politically active the local community is, how well organized they are. Are there certain persons there who, to a certain extent, mobilize Estonians living there also politically? For example, with Estonians in Finland, we know that their political activity has been very strongly influenced by the fact that Estonian political parties have opened offices in Finland. Well, the most active party right now is the Conservative Party, but other political parties could also be more active in Finland, and that would also affect political and voting activity. So political organization on the ground is very important. Halliki, 2 more questions. When you lived abroad, did you vote in Estonian elections? Yes, I did. Every time. And now, the last question. General elections are coming. Do you intend to continue in politics? I'm actually a researcher, but actually I would very much want to continue and try to improve life in Estonia. So let's see. Renee, of course, definitely. And everyone else, come join and run in the elections. So first steps in politics have been taken. Thank you for the conversation and enjoy the upcoming holidays.
Now we will go to New York, to my former home city. I'm glad to say hi to Merike Barborak. Hello, Neeme, and thank you for inviting me to the forum. You have been active in the Estonian society related to the Estonian school in New York. But today we will talk about a film which was done by young Estonians, New York Estonians, 14-year-olds, in one day. What kind of film is it? Actually, it is made up of 5 different documentaries. Today, we will only show you one of them. So this is on topic of how Estonians in New York went to school, and it's about their memories. Tell us some kind of a nice story about making this film. With this film, I was contacted by Elle Valter from Toronto and Liina Särginen from Tallinn, from the Baltic Film School, and they suggested a project that we should have youth make a film. This is what happened. We had 16 youth from New York, 9 from Tallinn, and 4 from Canada. They were a little bit older, but they helped us make this film. And this is how these 5 films were made. And all of them in one day, so quickly. Yes, they filmed them in one day. A day beforehand, they had the training, and then they put the film together. An interesting example of global Estonianism functions Estonian, Canadian and American youth. I'm so interested in it, so I would like to see a brief piece of this film. So thank you very much, Merike, and we will look at one of those films.
Mina olen Andrus Aasma ja olen elanud siin New Yorgi ringkonnas eluaeg. Mina käisin siin New Yorgi Eesti koolis, kus me praegu oleme siin ilusas Eesti majas, võib-olla 10-aastaselt, 10-11-aastaselt. Ma mäletan, õpetaja oli proua Kärsna omal ajal ja meil oli võib-olla tosin õpilasi kaasas. Ma arvan, oli üks laud oli poistele ja teine oli tüdrukutele kohe kõrval. Ma arvan, et see kõige toredam asi, kui sa mõtled, oli lihtsalt seltskondlik tegevus teiste lastega. Ma õppimisest eriti ei mäleta. Eesti sõpradega oli alati rohkem lõbu kui teiste Ameerika koolisõpradega. Nii et Ja see on nagu eluaeg jäänud ja see on nagu, oli palju huvitavam ja eestlased kuidagi elasid huvitavamad elu. Viies või 6. klass oli Eesti koolis. Viimane kooliaasta jäi 3/4 jäi käimata. Vanaema, kes elas meiega, suri ära ja siis mu ema nagu oli löödud ja viinud paar kuud meid Eesti kooli ja siis nagu suurem osa kooliaastast jäid minema tegemata ja siis lõpuks ema arvas ka, et me ikka oskame eesti keelt ja siis hiljem, kui mu lapsed hakkasid kunagi Eesti koolis käima, siis ma juhuslikult sain jutule koolijuhatajaga, kes oli omal ajal Toomas Sõra, kui me olime koos õhtusöögil. Ja siis ma ütlesin Toomasele, kuule, kas sa tead, et ma ei olnud kunagi Eesti kooli lõpetanud. Ja siis ta ütles, sa pead kohe tulema ja järgmine asi, mis ma teadsin, oli, et ma lubasin tulla Eesti kooli tema klassi. Selle asemel, et teiste vanematega juttu ajada, siis ma läksin vahepeal klassiga. Ja mul oli hea meel, et ma tegin seda ja see nagu ergutas minu seda ajaloo arusaamist. Ja muidugi oli palju rohkem huvi sel ajal, sest omal ajal tead, ma mäletan tagasi seda kiviaeg ja pronksiaeg, see oli kõik bla bla bla. Ja isegi praegu võib-olla ma ei ole nii eriti huvitatud sellest, aga tead, selle hilisema ajalugu on muidugi väga huvitav ja põnev ja see haarab seda minu vanemate üleskasvamise perioodi. Aastaid siis hiljem mind paluti ajalooõpetajaks. Siis ma õppisin kõige rohkem, sest iga õhtu enne ajalootundi ma lugesin selle raamatu läbi, vähemalt selle tüki, mida ma pidin järgmine päev õpetama. Ma ei tahtnud väga palju ette lugeda, sest ma ütlesin, võib-olla ära unustada. Vähemalt oma kogemustest ma võin ütlema, et mida vanemalt sa õpid, seda rohkem sa süvened võib-olla. Muidugi mõned targad lapsed, võib-olla neile jääb kohe algusest peale võib-olla meelde ja süvenevad väga noorelt, aga mul võttis see süvenemine aega.
We will continue with the topic of youth. In the studio, I have Kaisa Kasekamp. She is the president of the Global Estonian Youth Network in Canada. Hello. Lasse Leminski, participant, a Global Estonian Internship Program. We will talk about this program. You come from Germany today. And Liina Viies, advisor on Global Estonian Affairs and Cultural Diplomacy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Hello. Now, first of all, this Global Estonian Youth Network, what is it about? Or when was it created? It was created in 2019, and it all came from Esto, how the youth came together all over the world and said, it's something nice and great. We would like to have a reason to come together, to apply for financing, to organize these meetings. These events as Esto took place so rarely, and youth thought that they would like to maintain the sentiment that it had. So in 2019, in the evening, they created the Declaration of Global Estonian Youth, and after this, they started to organize events. During COVID, we had some virtual sessions. For example, Marina Kaljuran spoke there, and we understood that for youth, what's important is the information. Many youth feel that information somehow surpasses them and they are somehow left aside in the communities. So we are now focusing on having all kind of information, newsletters and so on. How many members do you have? We have several hundred people who receive our newsletter, and we are continuously growing this membership. So in different times we have different people. But spreading information is important for us. And we also understand that it's important for us that new youth members would join us. It's important to join us, to come to the meeting, have the minutes, write memos. It's maybe a good experience they couldn't find elsewhere. So today we can call them up to join this network. Do you, Lasse, participate at this Global Estonian Youth Network? Well, directly, no. I see, you don't. But hopefully you will become a new member. Liina, soon we will talk about traineeship with Lasse, but the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has an interesting initiative to bring other Estonian youth to Estonia. Yes, these Estonians who have been born abroad and grown up there, for them Estonia very often is like a fairy tale country of their grandparents. They go to the town hall square to look at the Christmas tree or to some different regions where their grandparents have grown up. So we want to give them this possibility to get to know the Estonian life and work opportunities. That's why we have created such a program. And we have interested youth across the globe who have come here to work a little bit for the first time. And we have also had youth who are specialists and who have started to work here as specialists. So it's an interesting network of youth who are connected by the fact that they have roots in Estonia or they are Estonian citizens. Not all of them speak Estonian, by the way. So the scale is different from Australia to Finland and from Latvia to the US and Canada. So these are the countries where they come to participate. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs finances the traineeship and pays for living expenses. Yes, it is a program. You have to apply for it, but youth learn to write projects and explain why they want to have their traineeship here. How many to invite here or support? Every year we manage to support the dreams of 15 to 20 youth, and some dreams are completely crazy. Let's hear from Lasse. What was your dream and why did you decide to come to traineeship in Estonia? Where were you at traineeship? I was in the harbor of Muuga, in Decatur, and I decided to do it because I'm actually from Germany, from Hamburg, and I worked there at the harbor already, and I really liked it. I liked the marine transport work and the harbor work. So I hadn't participated at the work of terminal operations or harbor operations, so it was one of the motivations why I wanted to participate. But then also in Estonia, since I have Estonian roots, I wanted to see what it's like to work in Estonia. Is there a difference between Estonia and Germany in work culture? It seems that it's easier in Estonia, in the sense that the bureaucracy is everything can be done digitally. Of course, in Germany, everything has a bigger volume. But being precise and these things, I think it's very similar to Germany. If you have to be, at work by 8, you will get there by 8, not 8:30. How do you manage with the language? Quite well. I think I can speak Estonian quite well. Yes, you do. I have more issues with writing. And it is challenging to me. But I try to improve it through my traineeship, and I learned to write better in Estonian. Kaisa, you haven't been participating at the traineeship program in Estonia? No, I haven't. Would you like to? Yes, I would. What would you be interested in? Well, I am studying ethics, sociology, and law, and also I'm interested in filmmaking, also Finland. Everything that's done by the film studio is interesting for me. In Estonia, filmmaking is at a good level. Yes, I try to practice more, and I'm more interested in filmmaking. So you have time for this still. So, Liina, what are the conditions, and when do you have to submit the application? Let's advertise it. So the application round is opened at the beginning of the year, and there you have to submit your motivational letter, and you also have to find a place for traineeship by that time. And since not all of the young don't know Estonian, do they have to find it themselves? Well, yes, they have to find it, but we can also help them because they don't know so well where to go. With many youth, we have thought about the places they could have their traineeship done. So they often know bigger brands, but they don't know, smaller enterprises. For example, I would like to say hi to Cedric in Canada, who wanted to do a great job with an axe, and we even found a solution for him. So I'm sending my warm welcome words to him. I think he'll be a very good sauna builder in Canada. Is there some kind of an idea that maybe after traineeship they want to come to Estonia to live and work? Actually, out of 16 alumni from last year, 5 have moved to Estonia. So we can say, yes, Lasse, please pay attention. You could do great things in Hamburg, but I think Muuga Harbour will always look for you to come back. Would you come back? I would gladly come back. But at the moment, I'm studying in Finland at the university there. And 2 years ago, I really thought that I would like to live in Finland for a while. But you never know. Indeed, you never know. I'm always happy to come to Estonia. I'm always happy when I get to go to Hiiumaa, where I have a summer house. But maybe you would like to come to work here for a couple of years, and then you will see. Yes, and especially in logistics, I think Estonia is a country with motivation, to become bigger in this field. So I would like to be part of this. Kaisa, maybe you would like to come to Estonia to make movies. Indeed, I have many friends who are in filmmaking, and I'm so inspired because I think this is at a high level in Estonia, and it really motivates me. What are your dreams related to Estonia? Well, I dream. Well, our center has a slogan that every 5th Estonian lives abroad. So when I take this into account, when I think about the youth, I really hope that we have a place to receive information, to know that we are supported. We need to know that we have a place where we engage people, that we don't somehow leave them aside. We really welcome them warmly in Estonia and abroad, and we are happy to do so. Lasse? Yes, similarly, the motivation and innovation, either technological or digital, I hope this remains what it is in Estonia, that this motivation remains. Every time I come to Estonia, I see that something new has been developed, either in the shop or somewhere else. Some kind of a new technological solution or system is in use, either in service or anywhere else. So it's always really exciting. Germany, which is quite a conservative society, I would like to say, over there, it's coming from there. It's interesting to see how it develops here in Estonia, and I hope it stays so. In spring, summer 2025, there were these dream events about dreaming. Yes, we collected more than 13,000 dreams, and it didn't stop there. We have dreams from 11 from Estonians living in 11 different countries abroad, and it makes it really interesting. Some more interesting ones. Well, the computers are still processing all of this material, but the most interesting topics, an Estonian abroad hopes for Estonia to remain a special place, that we wouldn't just fill it with skyscrapers. There's plenty of that elsewhere. They dream that clean nature, books, this soft and nice Estonia remains here. But some dreams were really surprising. A group of women, for example, dreamt that folk costumes become the new Gucci, that in 25 years the Estonian folk design becomes mainstream, high fashion. And I saw very interesting and very nice dreams that Estonians presented from abroad. And I think there is even a dream atlas on our webpage, so hopefully all of these dreams will come true. Liina, thank you. Kaisa, Lasse, thank you as well. We really look forward to receive you in Estonia. Keep your connections to Estonia as you have already. Thank you.
And from here we are heading to Singapore. Siim Sainas, who is working for Google, is sending us a postcard about the activities of Estonians in Singapore. Hello, my name is Siim and I live in Singapore. Although this week I am in India and I am recording this video in our offices in India. I work for Google and in our regional office in Singapore with about 3,000 employees who are working with all the markets and help manage all kinds of issues and ensure that the company keeps growing in the entire region. I am working on measuring the efficiency of marketing, and I do this with teams that work with Pixar, Gemini, Play, our search engine, and many other teams likewise. And the main goal is to make our investments more efficient. Generally, Singapore is a very international location, and it's not unlike other big cities around the world. Services are basically available for everything. And yes, life is expensive, but it's also very comfortable. And the country, Singapore, is very disciplined and organized. I would even call it an organization. Public transport is excellent, taxes are low, and many services simply function really well, including all kinds of online services on how to do your taxes, submit applications. And as I understand, Estonia has assisted Singapore a lot in order to improve the quality of these services. And we do feel this when living here. We've been here for 15 years with our small family. And yes, time has flown by very quickly. Both of us are Estonians, but our children have grown up in Singapore. The eldest just graduated from first grade. And school days are pretty intense, but not too long at the moment. And yes, the system is definitely different from that in Estonia, but all in all, it works. And looking at the PISA rankings, Singapore has always been at the top together with Estonia. But yes, the system is very different. What else about Singapore? Of course, it's warm, tropical all the time, and many people ask, do you at some point stop sweating? But this will probably never happen. You rather get used to it and it just becomes something common. Many ask us, how did we end up in Singapore? And the answer for us is my job. Before this, I worked in Malaysia. And the two of us before that, with my spouse, we studied in Denmark. My spouse is a doctor in molecular biology and works with the pharma industry. And I have a completely different field. But regardless of this, both of us thought Singapore to be a place where it's exciting and there are interesting challenges for both of us, and we have a lot of opportunities for development likewise. And it's also a great place to raise our family because stability and infrastructure is ensured, there's security, safety. You can go out at 4 in the morning and nobody actually cares and they're not coming at you with a knife. And all of this has led to us being here for this long period of time. But to Estonians, I wish joy from discovering things at home and abroad, and all the best to you. Thank you, Siim, from Tallinn, and enjoy the Christmas period. But going to Australia from Estonia, then Singapore is a layover, a stop from your during your long journey. And also in our show, we are also heading from Singapore to Australia to talk about information channels. We heard from the youth how important information exchange is. For decades, Australia published a paper newspaper, Meie Kodu, our home. The newspaper is no longer published, but now there's an online publication, Heia, which is an abbreviation for Hello Estonians in Australia. And we will hear from the portal about the creator and technical manager, Kristi Barrow, also the chief editor, Kristel Alla, and chair of the board of Heia, Mark Narustrang.
Hi, my name's Kristi Barrow. I'm coming to you from Esti Meyer in Sydney. I am one of the founders of Heia, or Hello Estonians in Australia. What is Hello Estonians in Australia? Well, we are Australia's media platform, and our origins go way, way, way back to 1949 when the original Meie Kodu, or Our Home, started as a newspaper for all the Estonians in Australia. Unfortunately, Meie Kodu folded in 2019, 70 years after it was founded. But now we have Heia, Hello Estonians in Australia, to help keep all of the Estonians in Australia informed about what's going on. In 2002, I started esti.org.au, mainly as a hobby to learn web design, but also so I could work in parallel with Meie Kodu and start to digitise and go online with a lot of our Estonian events in Australia. 20 years later, I was invited to the Media Forum in Tallinn, Estonia, where I got to meet a lot of the editors from all of the other Estonian papers around the world. It was such an inspirational event, coming together, meeting everyone in person, actually for the first time really since COVID. I was so inspired that I got up in front of everyone and promised that I was going to relaunch Meie Kodu to a new digital magazine. And really proud to say that we have done it with Heia, Hello Estonians in Australia. Following on from the forum, I applied for a grant from the National Foundation of Civil Society in Estonia. The grant was to hold a workshop where people from all over Australia would come together and we would discuss whether we really wanted an online presence and really needed a new Meie Kodu. The results of the workshop were overwhelming. Everyone did want a unified online presence where everybody in Australia could find out about what was happening in Estonia or Estonian things in Australia. Following the workshop, we put out a call for volunteers to get people from all around Australia to be involved. We then formed a steering committee and we were off. How do we come up with the name, you might ask? Well, previously, the name of esti.org.au was the extremely boring Estonians in Australia. Me, not being a very creative person, just named it exactly what it was. So we were talking about coming up with a snappy, name that everyone would remember, and we were talking about Estonians in Australia and thought, well, wouldn't it be great if EIA was kind of like a good acronym? And we all agreed that EIA or EIA was not very good. Somebody said hello, and then we went, well, what about Hello Estonians in Australia? And Heia was born.
Terra from Western Australia. My name's Mark Narustrang, and I'm the chair of Heia. Heia has a clear purpose to provide relevant information to the Australian Estonian community. The community is not static. Whether moving interstate or people arriving fresh from Estonia, Heia is an independent resource that provides news and information to all. To ensure that we're here for the next 100 years, we have a strong structure, including a steering committee with myself here in Perth, Kristi in Sydney, and Crystal in Melbourne. You've heard from Kristi. Over to Crystal.
Aitäh, Mark, ja tere Melbourne'ist. Mina olen Kristel Alla.
Thank you, Mark, and hello from Melbourne. I'm chief editor of Heia. Talking of Heia, then our vision for Heia is to be a digital community center, a place where everyone can just walk in, bring along information, and if they like, also contribute to the joint table of information. We share cultural events around Australia with our community, consular information, interviews with visitors that are local as well as that have come from Estonia. Basically, everything that helps the community to feel visible and united. One could say that one story at a time, we are keeping in touch with Estonia as well as each other. Our vision is to create a friendly, independent platform that is open for everyone, a place where information moves smoothly and where you can just step in as a community center to find everything that is taking place with our community. I think on this path we have had a pretty good start, but we have room for growing and development, and we have many ideas. Our niche could be seen as a warm voice of community. It's supportive, encouraging, and sometimes a bit fun, because that's the way we like it. We don't nag, we don't criticize, and we highlight the good things. We celebrate, we unite. How do we do this? Of course, through people. We have a growing network of contributors all around Australia, and we are working towards reaching other Estonians, those whose voice is not heard as loudly yet. It's very important for us. And one important aspect, there are very great Estonians and Estonian societies in Australia. They are working really hard with the Estonian thing, and Heia is not speaking for them. They manage perfectly well on their own, but we just want to be a place where people can come together. We want to be the joint voice for them, for people who want to act together. I think this way information can spread further, and the more people know where events are taking place, the more people can come to the events, the more people know how to join a choir or a folk dance group, all the better. Because our aim is to inform all around Australia, and why not around the world, what a great hardworking community we have, because that's the truth. So no matter where you are welcome to join in, to send us stories, photos, to propose ideas. Because I think the more voices we have, the stronger our digital community center can be. And behind the scenes, we have a small, diligent team of volunteers who upload the stories, write the stories, edit the stories very often late at night. And we do all of this simply because Estonia is in our heart and community matters. Stories unite. You can find Heia at eesti.org.au. Come see what we are doing. Thank you and warm welcome from Melbourne.
Thank you from Australia, and really enjoy your December, the weeks before Christmas. But we will continue here on the topics of communication. We have Mihkelson here. Hello. Silver Tambur. Hello. Hello. And Kadri Linnas from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Hello to everyone. Kristel, let's start with your experience as journalist. In summer, you were in the doing your traineeship at Vaba Eesti Sõna newspaper. It is published in Estonia and in the America. What did you see in the US? How actively readers read it? Based on my experience, I would say that we could always do more, but it's still important that our global Estonians had such a newspaper. I don't know the exact numbers, but since it is published every 2 weeks' time, then working in social media, I can see that people are interested and they read it. So it's published on paper, not only in web. I think it's more popular on paper among elderly. Maybe youth don't read paper so much, but there are those who read it also on paper still, luckily. Silver Tambur, founder of Estonian World and editor-in-chief of Trialogue. your readers are so many. Well, it all depends, but yes, in this English media context, we have about 100,000 readers. But in the Estonian language media context, well, it depends what you are comparing it to. If you compare to Postimees, Delfi, Estonian public broadcasting, it's small. But in this context abroad, it's a good number. And in social media, we have about 70,000 or more followers. So in Estonian and English language media, it is a good number, I would say. And Estonian World is in Estonia now. You started in London. Yes, it was started in London. 3 Estonians thought there were so many cool things in 2012 that we saw that were done in Estonia. There was a lot done in digital world. There were many news about success stories, Skype, TransferWise, which is Wise Today. And we thought that we should write about it because we saw that there was not so much information in English. So we decided to do it. We started it, the 3 of us. A few years later, I moved to Estonia. So today, the head office is in Estonia, we can say, but one of the editors lives in the US, near Boston. And out of 3 founders, Sander Saar, who supports from technical side, is based in LA. So you are global. We are a transatlantic edition. Kadri Linnas, advisor on global Estonian affairs and cultural diplomacy from Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Do you keep an eye on how Estonians communicate, how many Estonian newspapers are published in the world, and how many are in the web? Yes, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have taken the role of coordination, to coordinate this field of information, to bring it all together to someplace. And currently, paper newspapers, let's say they are in minority, but it's normal. And here on the table, we have actually a few, the most famous ones. I'll just name them. Eesti Rada has been published for 80 years, from 1945, and this is published only in Estonian, only on paper. You can read the PDF format in web, but let's say not many have such. And then we have Vaba Eesti Sõna in the US, Eesti Elu, Estonian Life in Canada, and we have also a newspaper, Peterburi Teataja, then Rahvuslik Kontakt, National Contact, published in Sweden a few times per month. So that's all I would like to name. But several, as we saw with Heia, have become web newspapers. So we can't actually say that there are a few of Estonian diaspora foreign news editions. And many have become newsletters. And we shouldn't forget Facebook groups. Keiu Telve just recently wrote about it on Global Estonian page. She has researched it. And even young people, we know that Facebook is something for elderly now. So young people have to create the Facebook account now to be in contact with the global network, which is active in newsletters and in Facebook. Silver, who are your collaborators in Estonian World? Well, for 13 years we have been active, and when I think about it, I think we have had about more than 100 writers. Some are just writing for a few times, but we have one author in the US who writes 1 or 2 stories per year, but he has been with us since the beginning. What is the inspiration? It cannot be the pay. People take their time to write. It's mission, you know. Some people have something in their mind, historical events. Some write about some local events happening around the Estonian community. But I've always noticed that they're all worried about Estonia. For example, if the security situation is tense, then they write about their vision. There are also many topics of culture, topics where they want to interview other Estonians abroad, maybe someone has achieved something. So topics are different. Kristel, what do you think? What is the future of our global media from your point of view? Everything we have on the table here, it's nice, but it might be something left to the past. Maybe everything moves to the web. Probably the number of those reading newspapers in paper format will be reducing. But what I noticed in the US, people in my generation, they are more interested in the Estonian culture now, and they want to learn Estonian, and they want to know what's happening in Estonia. So who knows? Maybe our generation, once we become parents, maybe they will, or we will want to have this paper newspaper as well on their desk. Maybe this paper newspaper will do a comeback. I have a comment. I don't believe in paper newspaper. I believe in paper journals. I'm actually sad that there are not so many magazines or journals about Estonian community. We have been thinking about it with the Estonian world. If we should ever publish something on paper, then we would make a magazine that would be published maybe maximum 4 times a year. Magazine is something that it's nice to read during traveling. It has some artistic and timeless value. You can have photos. I feel it has a different value compared to the newspaper, which eventually will be will be burnt. So yes, and maybe if the vinyls and cassette and this, so maybe it will make a comeback. But in the foreign ministry, when you try to coordinate, everyone say that communication is needed, information is needed. What are the channels that the information will be available? It is complicated. Exchange of information is complicated nowadays. And the state has created the Global Estonian webpage, which was the idea of Marko's Kolga, whom we just heard recently talking from Canada. And we have created a webpage for an Estonian living abroad. It's a portal. I like to call it virtual Estonian house. Each community has their own room, and you can find information about how the Estonian state supports global Estonians. So there are all kind of calls for proposals or support, rounds for support that are opening, and you can get information about Estonian schools and so on. Since there are so few of us in the world, really everyone counts. Every person is important. We have to be aware of this global Estonian network, and we have to be in touch with each other. And I believe this is the future. And at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I would like to mention we have the Diaspora Communication Working Group. Silver is participant in that working group, and Kristella maybe will join us. And all of us who are working in communication, we have tried to bring together all of these people who work in communications. So maybe there are more, we don't know. And once again, we can advertise this activity, cooperate with your webpage, with Estonian World, and Vaba Eesti Sõna as well. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Communication is important, and let's continue with this. But now we will think about great ideas, and we asked Kristiina Ehin, our loved poet, to come to our studio.
Hello, dear Estonians around the globe. It's an honor to be with you today and try to figure out what is happening and perhaps encourage you to think along. And it's great for me to imagine all of you, because about a year ago I went to Australia to many Estonians there. I have also visited the US a couple of times, and quite recently in the warm community of Estonians in Brussels. And all of these travels have left me with such sweet memories. And as a poet and writer, it is a great gift for me to be able to travel far away from home and at the same time be able to perform my works in my mother tongue. And this language is what I would like to talk about first. And I would like to admit that I myself have never been away from Estonia for too long. I have not lived abroad. And in a way, I admire everyone who are able to do so. I think it's quite heroic. And what's held me back is the very same language. I need our native language so greatly. And I have understood that nothing moves me as much as a saying, a well-phrased sentence in our native language, or a poem. Maybe just vowels that just sound together nicely, words spoken from the heart. Perhaps this is also due to my poor knowing of foreign languages, but our mother tongue has the power of touch. And to illustrate this, I would like to read a poem that I once wrote at the request of an Estonian TV show, Pealtnägija. But I poured in a bit of worry and pain in this poem on what will become of us.
Ma tahan teada, kas me peame vastu siin hiigelkeelte laanes veel paar aastasada. Siin suuri libekeeli roomab vastu, kes söönud väikseid keeli riburada. Ma olen võrse, millest kasvab puu, mis keele kõrgusi võiks vallutada. Mu kõrva vastu paned oma suu ja proovid enda poole kallutada. Kuid mind ei liiguta su honey ja su baby siin pajuvõsa laiuskraadi hallis. Kuid mind ei liiguta su honey ja su baby siin pajuvõsa laiuskraadi hallis. Vastan sulle mööda minnes maybe. Piisaks, kui sa ütled lihtsalt kallis. Kes naerab omas keeles, nutma puhkab, kui meie ingliskeelses nutiseadmes tukume. Ma tahan teada, kas me keel on uhke või siiski määratud on hukule. Ja et seda eksistentsiaalset küsimust natuke mahendada.
And in order to soothe this existential question at the end of the poem, I also add a verse from the repertoire of our band, Naised köögis. And we also created this verse for the 100th anniversary of the Estonian state.
Kuid kõige tähtsam inime. Ma usun ja hoolin ja sajaga soovin, et suudaks me aegade teel edasi kulgeda väikse, kuid julgena, kõneldes üht salakeelt. Nii palju, kui ma välismaal olen reisinud, on salakeele kogemus.
As much as I've traveled abroad, the experience of having a secret language is a very special experience.
Sellest, millise
and the intonation you use to say the word Estonia. This is what I would like to talk about next. In daily life, I notice that sometimes, especially in the mornings when reading depressive news, I tend to say Estonia, or even a bit accusatory, Estonia. Or maybe, oh God, Estonia. This has also slipped over my lips. But I like myself much more if I am able to say, oh, Estonia, or say it with a different intonation. The difference is so great that it's immense. And if all of us, the million of us, are able to say Estonia with the sound of love and respect to ourselves and others, then we are sure, then I'm certain that things will be going better for us. And in order to illustrate this, I would like to read out a poem from my latest collection, or actually a short version of this poem from my collection.
Ma ei suuda enam öelda Eesti, sest huuled on hakanud eed hääldades võlts naeratuseks venima. Püüan hääldada eed nii, et suunurgad ei tõuseks, öelda eed nagu aad, seda armastuse tähte. Välja tuleb midagi hauatagust, midagi igavesti varjulist, leiva kõrvast ahju alust, harjumuste ülest. Eesti, kuidas tähistada sind eheda ja ausa aaga, ilma rukki lille ja leivata, ilma suitsu pääsukese ja trikoloorita. Oled ainus küünal juubelitordil, mida ma ei jaksanud ära puhuda. Oled sinisilmne albiino ronk, kes lendab üle karuputkedesse kasvanud karjalautade, üle kasutuks muutunud viljakuivatite, üle kiviklibuste randade, kus vesi on juuliski verd tarratavalt külm. Oled triipkoodiga alpikanni pott talveharjal, oled noor ja näljane, oled hüppe valmis valge keskealine, arvutisse õppunud isane, kes vabatahtlikult naabritädile tere ei ütle. Oled suudlus, mida mu huuled on 1000 aastat oodanud. Oled saarma vaevu kuuldav volksatus ema jõkke. Oled lohe tätokas pubeka puusal. Oled erutav saladus, mida ma ei suutnud hoida. Eesti, külm on su kõrrepõllul, kaduviku purskkaevu äärel. Valan su mustavasse vette oma kalli koera šampooni ja soovin sulle Tallinki taksos nutma pursates rõõmsaid jõule. Lumi langeb ja mina laulan. Anna Haava, Juhan Liivi, Miina Härma haual. Laulan Eesti, mu kallis, Eesti, mu armas, Eesti, mu ilus ja kaunis, Eesti, mu lehkav ja lõhnav. Laulan eed nagu aad, seda armastuse tähte. Ja mul on veel 2 väikest jutupunkti.
And I have 2 more talking points left. What kind of a meaning we give to our flag? Here in this old monastery granary, in this cozy, commonplace room, we know that blue is the color of the sky, white is the color of hope, but the black on our tricolor, what does it do? For some, it creates a heavy feeling. For some, it gives the wit of a farmer to think that this is our soil that has been worked on with sweat. But giving thought to this black, in my book, in my last novel, I came to this idea. A physicist that recently left us says in a lecture for the Night University what the idea of life is. A flock of birds has a common sense, just as humanity does. I'm certain that Estonia has it. This is my addition. For therapy, during this Christmas, we might imagine our flag in the color of black. The color of black as a tight flock of birds with all kinds of different birds native to Estonia. The birds of our country. All figures seem black in light, and when we look back at our time in future, we all blend in. Together with us, this black on the flag has all of the citizens of today, but also the thousands, millions who have fallen on the road of time. Happy Christmas. May this identity of the flock of birds defeat all the difficulties of the blue skies and snowy ground. And to end, another poem from this very same book. And I wrote this poem while reading a scientific piece of news which summarized what it is that people regret the most on their deathbed. And it turned out that it was the good things that they left unsaid. And if we were able to say anything that we wanted and what's in our hearts, and I think us living should keep this in mind time and time again. But it's difficult to say something good without it becoming cheesy or sentimental. And in this poem, I start from far away and end up in it, and I hope you welcome my good wishes across the seas and lands.
Korstnasse kukub lehti, tunnid venivad teel. Kuidas meid sellisteks tehti, imestan ikka veel. Kolmnurka koguvad kured, meelel on mitu nuttu, kaugete rahvaste mured, mida ei lahenda ruttu. Kuidas me teadsime sündida sellesse mandrinurka, selle väikse ja vaba, rahutu rahva hulka. Meil on naabriga alati kitkuda faasan või kana, kuid õnne, mis kunagi valati, kaardid ei kuuluta täna. Kaardid näitavad kuud, laidudel loivab hülgeid, uned ütlevad muud, kellad keeravad külge. Keegi ei tea, mis tuleb. Püüame välja mõelda. Enne kui silmad sulen, ei jõuagi sulle öelda. Siin hingede aja hallis, kus lehed on mustaks mädand, et oled mõõtmatult kallis ja mul on sinuga vedanud.
Thank you, Kristiina Ehin. Beautiful ideas. And our 10th virtual forum has come to an end. I wish you from Tallinn, by this fireside in the old town of Tallinn, from Theatre Room, beautiful Christmas time all across the world. I'm sure that we will meet again during the next 11th virtual forum for Global Estonians. You can view the forum today from different channels of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other channels as well, and you can continue with these thoughts we heard today. But this long forum will be finalized or will be concluded by music by Maria Peterson and Eensaar-Tootsen to this beautiful Estonian language text. Thank you all.
Uni suur ja puhas voog, jõgi ja jõe kaldal pilliroog. Tulen siia, pilli lõikan siit, pillil puhun unelaulu viit. Viit, mis on kui suur ja pehme tiib, mis mind viipab kaugusesse viib. Kus on sinitume unelaas, paks ja pehme unesammal maas. Kaugusesse, kus ei ole muud, kui päike mesilased ja puud. Unerohi katmas kallas maad, kus sa puhata ja olla saad. Siin, kus kõik, mis ahistas su meelt, äkki räägib sinu ema keelt. Metsakõdust pilvesärani kõik on lahti, kõik on pärani. Kõik on lahti, kõik on ühes koos. Peegeldumas merre jõudvas voos. Vulab, sillerdab ja vahutab. Sinu endast ära lahutab. Hea on saada üheks, saada vooks. Mis on veel, mis tagasi sind tooks? Mis veel keset seda unustust? Hoiaks argipäeva lahti ust. Aitaks mõelda sellele, kes jäi teisel kaldal nooruspäi. Nendele, kel homsest puudub loht. Ehk on nende kõrval sinu koht. Nendega sind köidab verev niit. Tõmbab ära unest ära siit. Kustub ununeb kõik seda maid. Vähe on, mis kaasa võtta said. Mõni seemne tera, mõni eos. Mõni lauluviis ja mõtteseos. Veidi avatust ja sinetust. Ladva kiiku pilve vinetust. Valgust, mis ei ole vana uus. Kõik kõiges muus. Uni suur ja puhas voog. Jõgi ja jäi kaldal pilliroog.